When organizations embark on digital transformation initiatives, they have to thread the needle and balance business needs with technology needs. And oftentimes those needs are in conflict. And I'm going to talk about what those conflicts are and how you can navigate those in today's video. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent and tech-agnostic consulting firm that helps clients throughout the world manage and de-risk their digital transformation projects. And one of the common things we navigate when helping clients through their digital transformations is helping them figure out what their business needs are, as well as what their technology needs are. This is a really important dynamic because the business has certain functional needs that are oftentimes in conflict with what the technology department needs. And what makes matters even worse is that oftentimes you have the CIO, who's the executive sponsor of the project, and then you have the CFO, the COO, CEO, and other executive stakeholders that oftentimes have different needs. So what I want to do today is talk about what some of those major differences are between what business needs are and what the IT or technical priorities are. And stay tuned to the end of this video because I'm going to talk about how you can navigate some of these conflicts and some of these tensions that oftentimes build between business and IT. But before I get started, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think some of the biggest IT or business challenges are that you face or that you've seen in your digital transformation? Leave a comment below. I'd love to see your feedback there. If you're leading a digital transformation or ERP initiative and you want to avoid the costly mistakes that most organizations make, that's where Third Stage Consulting comes in. We are an independent and technology advisory firm, meaning that we don't sell software, we don't take commissions from vendors. Our only job is to protect your interests and be on your side. We help executives and project teams plan, deliver, and recover digital transformations and ERP projects, reducing risk, improving adoption, and delivering real business value. If you want clarity before you commit to your digital strategy, or if something feels off track to you, feel free to reach out to us at thirdstage-consulting.com, and my team and I would be happy to help. Now, the first difference and tension point that you see between IT and business is oftentimes the business is looking for flexibility. They want technology that can support their needs. They want, generally speaking, to be able to change technology to support their business needs, whereas IT staff typically are looking at scalability and ease of use. And this is more from a technology perspective when I say ease of use. Obviously, you want ease of use from a business perspective too, but generally speaking, an IT department is going to try and simplify your technology stack, which is part of their job, to be fair, in their defense. Their job is to create a technical infrastructure that's highly scalable, that can grow with you as you grow as a business, and that is easier for the IT staff to manage. They don't want to overly complicate things with unnecessary technology or unnecessary difficulties within the technology stack. But when the business is looking at business flexibility, how can we change? How can we navigate evolving customer needs? How can we navigate evolving regulatory needs? How can we just change our business to be more competitive? They're looking at this more from a flexibility perspective. So what oftentimes happens is you'll have IT who might come in with more of a solution that's focused on cloud solutions, pre-configured best practices, lack of customization or perhaps even zero customization, one single platform instead of multiple technologies. That, generally speaking, is what a lot of IT departments want, and it makes sense why they would want that. It's, generally speaking, going to be easier, more scalable. In some cases, it's less costly from a pure technology perspective. But again, on the business side of things, they might need flexibility. They might need to change the way standard software is built to be able to support their business, especially in areas that touch the customer, that are unique to their industry or their product, or unique to their competitive advantage. So oftentimes, these two things are in direct conflict, and it's up to leadership to figure out how to navigate these challenges. I'm going to come back to that point later in the video. Another tension we often see between IT and the business is that IT is oftentimes looking at things from a technical purity lens. In other words, they are very set on certain types of technologies. Generally speaking, I don't want to stereotype too much, but generally speaking, IT departments have a vision of what they think technology should look like. It could be a specific vendor. It might be that they want to be a Microsoft shop or they want to be an SAP shop. It could be a type of technology. It could be that they're a cloud-first type of IT department. It could be that they're an AI first or AI driven type of IT department. It could be that they have a general philosophy that they prescribe to. That could be something like single ERP system, or in some cases, some other organizations might go in with a custom development mentality first. Whatever the case may be, oftentimes IT departments start with the technology in mind first because that's what they're comfortable with, that's what they think is right from a technology perspective, but that doesn't always match and fit what the business needs. So on the surface, the business doesn't necessarily care about whether you're in the cloud or whether you use a certain product. Sometimes they do, but usually business users, business leaders are more focused on just general business needs. What is it we need the technology to do? And then we'll find the technology to support that. And again, oftentimes this is very much in conflict because, again, looking at the single ERP model, if your technology department, your IT department is looking at things through an ERP first lens, your business might say, well, ERP limits our flexibility. If we had a best of breed model or a composable ERP model, that's going to give us maximum flexibility, but it's going to make IT's job harder because now they've got multiple systems they have to manage. So the million-dollar question becomes, whose needs are more important? The need for technical purity and what IT thinks is right from a technical perspective, or the needs of the business who's looking at things from operations and the aspects of what they need to run their business. Now, one thing I'll add here, one caveat, and just to preempt any objections that IT types might have here, sometimes people will say, well, business needs aren't necessarily business needs. It could be just a situation where the business is resisting changing because they've always done things a certain way and they don't want to deploy new technology because it's different from what they do today. That does sometimes happen, but more often than not, when you really dig into what the business needs, from a leadership perspective, they know what they need and they know what they want the organization to be able to support. And sometimes, yes, there's resistance to change buried within that, but more often than not, we find that the business needs actually are legitimate and they're more often than not in conflict with the technical purity that IT team members are oftentimes pursuing. Now, another broad generalization that isn't always true, and at the risk of stereotyping IT types, is that IT staff is more likely to be focused on cutting-edge technology. These are the guys and gals within your organization that are up to date on the newest, latest, and greatest technologies. They know what the emerging trends are. They're probably pretty excited about some of these emerging trends, and to be fair, that's their job. Their job is to push the organization toward the cutting edge of IT and pushing the organization toward technology that can make the business better. So while your IT department might be focused on cutting edge technologies and finding the most modern, most recent technology to support your business, if you're a business leader, you're simply looking at, does the technology work and does it work for your business? So you're looking for tech that works. And this is a big point of conflict and a big point of contention we see a lot with organizations, because when you look at something as simple as, do we go from our legacy on-premise system to a cloud-based version of that system, the newer cloud-based version of that same system, your IT department's probably going to be more excited about that than your business, especially if business leaders find that your legacy on-premise system works just fine. It may be that they're trading off some of those competencies they already have. They might actually be taking a step back in some areas with more cutting edge technology because, again, it might be more technically pure, it might be more technically advanced, but in many cases we see that the more advanced technology actually from a business and functional perspective doesn't work as well as some of the older technologies. So again, this is another point of contention, another point where you see tension between business and IT. Now, another interesting finance and balance sheet related situation we see, or tension point we see between business and IT, is that IT is oftentimes more focused on operating expenditures. They're focused on things like cloud solutions, more subscription-based pricing, which becomes an annual operating cost rather than an asset that can be depreciated. Whereas business leaders, especially those that are in asset-intensive industries like manufacturing or utilities or any sort of field service-based organization where there's assets that are very expensive and need to be depreciated, need to be maintained, they're more operating from a capital expenditure perspective, and they're looking at things from a positive perspective. How can we depreciate assets and how can we sweat the assets? Now, IT, on the other hand, isn't looking to sweat the assets. They're looking to implement new technologies, which oftentimes shifts more of the cost from capital expenditure to operating expenditure. Now again, broad generalization, not always true, but oftentimes these two things are in conflict. And this is where the CFO and other business leaders have to make that tough decision of which is more important from a finance and a balance sheet perspective. And then finally, if we look at just technology in general and the types of technology we deploy, IT departments care deeply about the type of tech that is being deployed. They want it to be a certain type of technology, a certain vendor, a certain type of category, a certain philosophy around how technology gets deployed. And that's why you hire these people. So they care deeply about technology. And generally speaking, business leaders don't care about technology. They're not hung up on, are we in the cloud or not? Or are we using SAP or is it Microsoft or is it Oracle or Workday or Salesforce? They're not hung up on that. They just want to know that the technology works and that it's going to support their business. So this right here creates tension as well because, again, you've got people that are oftentimes leading with technology versus people that are leading with business, and those two things come in conflict, direct conflict along the way. Now, what do you do about it? You know there's a conflict here. You know that each of these categories provides challenges and situations that need to be resolved, and this is where strong leadership and strong support from the executive level comes into play. If you don't have strong leadership, you're not going to be able to resolve these conflicts. You're going to be in constant battle over these dimensions here, and it's going to extend any sort of digital transformation, no matter how well planned it is or how solid the technology is or how well you've planned your business processes. You're going to run into friction and tension and headwinds because of these conflicts between business and IT. And this is where leadership, strong leadership, needs to step in and say, this is what's more important to us as an organization. This is how all these things tie into our higher level corporate strategy and objectives. And this is how it translates into what we're going to do from a business and technology perspective as part of this change initiative. Too oftentimes, though, what happens is leaders will step aside, delegate these decisions down to the project team, and they fight it out and battle it out amongst themselves. Or what also happens oftentimes is if the CIO is the project sponsor, oftentimes they'll lead with and side with the technology priorities, and oftentimes they'll let these business needs fall by the wayside. This group ends up resisting the changes, being resentful about the changes that they weren't involved with or didn't agree with, and it creates a whole host of change management issues. So that's why you don't want just one leader making the decision. You want an executive steering committee that's well balanced across business and IT, and you want to make sure that they're deliberate about how they make these decisions and make sure that it aligns with their overall corporate strategy. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these issues resonate the most with you? Which ones have you seen be the biggest issues within your organization or projects you've been involved with? I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below, or if there's things I've missed here, things that you've noticed that we haven't captured here today, I'd love to hear your feedback. So drop those in the comments below. And if you'd like to learn more about how to be successful in your digital transformation initiatives, be sure to download our Lessons from 1000 Digital Transformations book. You can find that for free on our website by scanning the QR code right here, or you can go to the links below. And as always, if you'd like to learn more about Third Stage and how we can help you plan for your digital strategy and execute your digital strategy, please feel free to reach out to me. I've included my contact information below, and my team and I would be happy to talk to you about your project. So I hope you found this information useful and hope you have a great day. And what is oftentimes the business is looking for flexibility. What just happened here?